Hello everyone, welcome once again to my channel. Today we'll be learning how to obtain the general formula and the roots of a quadratic equation from completing the square method. And we all know that in terms of solving quadratic equations, we have about 4 different methods in which we can solve a quadratic equation, and one of them is by applying what is referred to as the general formula method. So we're going to see how we can obtain this general formula by using the completing the square method and also obtaining the roots of a quadratic equation from the general formula method by also using completing the square method. Now if we go to the board, you can see that the general form for quadratic equations are written there. We have the ax squared plus bx plus c, and we all know what they all mean. A and b are coefficients of x squared and b, and a and b are coefficients of x squared and x, while c is the coefficient of the quadratic equation. So now, how do we obtain the general formula from this general form? I've rewritten it again. Ax squared plus bx plus c is equals to 0. Now, by applying completing the square method, the first thing we do is to ensure that the coefficient of x squared is 1. The coefficient of x squared is 1. So what do? We're going to divide the equation by a so that the coefficient of x squared will be 1. So we have this. So we divide the equation by a, all through by a, so that the coefficient of x squared will be equal to 1. So when we do that, a will cancel a, and the other ones cannot be cancelled because they're not like terms. So what we want to get is x squared plus b over a x plus c over a is equal to 0. Okay, so that was the first step. Now the next step is we're going to move the constant to the right hand side. We move the constant to the right hand side, and so this is the constant here. So we move it to the right hand side. We have plus ca as the constant. So when we move it to the right hand side, what we're going to get is x squared plus b over ax is equals to minus c all over a. Minus c over a. Very good. So now what is the next thing? The next thing we're going to do is that we're going to add the square of half the coefficient of x. The square of half the coefficient of x. We're going to add it to both sides of the equation. So what is the square of half the coefficient of x? Now b over a is the coefficient of x. So we're going to add the square of half its coefficients to both sides. So we have this. So I want to add the square of half the coefficient. So if we divide b over a by 2, we're going to get something like b all over 2a square. We do the same thing on the right hand side. C over a will give you plus b all over 2a square. What we're going to do is, for the left hand side, we're going to collect the like terms in terms of the powers of 2. You can see that we have x squared and we have b over 2a on the left hand side. So we're going to collect the two like terms. I'm going to write it as such: x plus b over 2a in bracket raised to the power 2. That's how we factorize the expression on the left hand side. Now for the right hand side, we're going to move it a bit. We're going to move it a bit so that we'll have a positive expression on the the beginning, while we have a negative one on the other side. So we're going to expand this as well by saying b all over 2a times b all over 2a. So when you expand this, you're going to have b squared all over 4a squared. I hope you understand how we got this. We have b all over 2a raised to the power 2. So when you say b over 2a times b over 2, it's going to give you b squared. This is not 6. This is b squared all over 4a squared. Then we'll now take this to the other side. It's still the same thing. We only move the expressions about. And for here, we only group the like terms. Powers of 2, we call them together. X plus b all over 2a, the whole thing squared. Now that we've gotten that, the next thing we do is to find the square root of both sides. We find the square root of what? Of both sides. We're looking for the square root of both sides. When you look for the square root of the left-hand side, what happens is that it eliminates the square that is here. When you find the square root of the left-hand side, it eliminates the square. But for the other side, which is the right-hand side, you get b squared all over 4a squared minus c all over a. Now, let's continue. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to simplify this fraction here. Because this is a fraction and this is another fraction. So we're going to simplify it so that they can be like in one whole fraction. We do that by looking for the LCM of this, what we have here. By the time we look for the LCM of that, we're going to have something like this. X plus b all over 2a is equals to, just because of time, I'll just go ahead and write the answer for simplifying these fractions here. And when you solve it, like when you're finding your normal subtraction of fractions, what you're going to get is b squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared. That's when you simplify this, it will give you this. And one thing also want to remind us is that we not forget to put our positive and our negative signs before the square root. It's very, very important. Now, once we've done that, then we can now look to see if we can find the square root of any of this, part of these fractions. If you look here, you can see that the square root covers both the numerator and the denominator. But when you look closely, you find that you can actually find the square root of 4a squared. Yes, the square root of 4a squared is going to give you 2a, because when you say 2a times 2a, it's going to be what? 4a squared. So you simplify that. And how do you simplify that? You now say x plus b all over 2a is equals to plus or minus. You cannot find the square root of the numerator, so write it as 4 as b squared minus 4ac. Then you now draw a line and write the square root of 4a squared, which is now 2a. The square root of 4a squared is equals to 2a. Now, the next thing you do is to make x the subject of the formula. Let's write that here. You make x the subject of the formula. To make x the subject of the formula, what do? You move this expression to the right-hand side. And when you do that, you're going to get x is equals to, this is plus b over 2a, you give you minus b all over 2a plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so one more step, and that is we're going to combine these two denominators together, because you can see they're on the same side already, and it's like, when you look at it, you can see that it's as if there are two fractions, okay, and you can now combine them together since they have the same denominators. And when you combine them, you now get something like this. X is equal to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So now, what you have here now is the general formula. What you have here now is the general formula for quadratic equations. For quadratic, right, in short, quadratic equations. This is now the general formula for quadratic equations. And from this general formula, we can now write the, the roots of a quadratic equation. What are the roots of a quadratic equation? So now, to get the roots of the quadratic equation, you're going to split this into two. You split them into two. So this is how you split it into two. You say x is equal to minus b. You write the positive first. Positive. Then you write the rest, which is b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. You now write or x is equal to minus b. This time you write the minus sign. Minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So these two here are the roots of a quadratic equation. Write it in short form. Please forgive me, don't have space, so that is the short form. So this one here is the general formula for quadratic equations. This is what you use to solve quadratic equations when you're dealing with the general formula method. Then these two here are the roots of the quadratic equation. And that has come to the end of the teaching of today. I know many of you might find this a bit confusing, but once again, go through the video step by step again, and then also practice it on your own, and I'm sure you will get a better understanding. So that's the end of the video for today. Please, if you appreciate this video, if it's very helpful, give it a like and a thumbs up. Also hit the notification bell to get notified whenever I drop any of my videos. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop it in the comment section, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.